Hi, beautiful souls. It's Sadhana, and I'm here today to share with you my Lenormand collection as of February 2019. I'm just going to point through the decks here, and then we'll have a look at some of the cards. So in the top left, we have the Maybe Lenormand by Ryan Edward, which is a 52 card deck, so can be used as a regular playing deck. I mentioned that in my tarot bag for the 31 Days of Tarot 2019. This was a great deck to take with me if I was going to, go somewhere on a trip and get stuck somewhere. Multi-purpose deck. This is the Rana George Lenormand, which is a beautiful bright colored gold gilded deck. Tanis Lenormand is by the creator of the Lily White Tarot, Celia Mailsville. This is a self-published deck. The Celtic Lenormand by Chloe McCracken and artwork by Will Worthington. So if you're familiar with any of the Druidcraft decks or the Wildwood, he's the same artist. And Chloe's written an amazing guidebook to go with this. This is the Scrying Ink Lenormand, which is by Ciolo Thompson. Same creator as Linestrider Tarot. Anna K. Lenormand, which is, if you have the self-published version of her tarot deck, you'll recognize the box there. It's the same size box as her self-published tarot. And that comes from Austria. Dreaming Way, which is mass market deck now. And the artwork on that, same artwork as the Dreaming Way Tarot, so that's Quan Shina. Then we have the Piatnik, the Bluebird, and the Blue Owl. So these three decks we'll probably look at together. They're very similar with large playing card associations, more traditional decks. And then we have Claire de Lune Lenormand, which is by Anna Turian, creator of Oracle of Echoes, and her new tarot deck coming out soon, which I can't wait for. And here we have Under the Roses. This is a really great multi-purpose deck, and we'll have a look at that in a bit. Seekers Lenormand, which is by is it AJ? I always get the initials wrong. A.L. Schwartz. So I bought all three decks together. So it is the same creator as the Wooden Tarot and the Earth-bound Oracle, I believe. And then we have the Fairy Tale Lenormand, which is beautiful artwork by Lisa Hunt. Pixie Lenormand, which features some of the pieces of the art of Pamela Coleman Smith. So different bits of the tarot cards have been put together into a Lenormand deck. We have the 1889, which is my only mini Lenormand, which is really special. Sawyer's Lenormand, which is created by Jamie Sawyer, same as the Sawyer's Path Tarot. So those are the decks that we're going to have a look at this evening. So I'm just going to move some of them out of the way, and then we'll get started. All right, so let's start by having a look at these three decks. We have the Blue Owl, the Bluebird, and the Piatnik. Very similar in size. The smallest is the Blue Owl. The Bluebird is a little thicker. This is way more cardboardy stock, so it's not going to stand up to riffle shuffling. Both of these are playing card stock, very easy to shuffle. The Blue Owl is published by A.G. Mueller, and I believe that is first came out in the 70s, and so that's out of Austria, wrong continent. The Bluebird is currently, I believe, a U.S. Games publication. This version was printed in China, also going back to the 70s, and seems to get reprinted quite often. The Piatnik is probably, I'm thinking that it was recreated in the 1980s from kind of what I've figured out from the limited amount of research the limited amount of information there is available on these decks. Also, Australia. So coming out of both of these two out of Europe, and this one from the US, although it is printed in China. Very similar decks. I'm just going to turn the decks over and point out some of the differences and similarities. So right away you can see similarities are they are numbered, so you can see the number 35, 17, 31. These marks here, I'm assuming are logos from the printers or the artists or the creators. I'm not sure what these two logos mean. The two decks on the outside do not have the title or the name of the card. This is the Bluebird, so the Bluebird has the name Stork on here. As far as the verses go, this is the Bluebird. So this version of the Bluebird has the verses. And I also know that you can get the Blue Owl as well with the verses on it. But the version I have does not have it on it. And this is in English if you're not focused up close here. The other thing that I will just show you, I just want to show you apples and apples here. So the court cards, for the Bluebird, we have a painting, and then we have very familiar playing card, colored playing card, and then we have a black line art drawing on the Piatnik deck. But you'll see that the artwork is quite different. So interesting, we have the bouquet here for both of these, and I really do like the artwork on the Piatnik. It's really it's larger. It fills up more of the space, and so it's easier to identify, at least for me. Let's have a look at a few of the cards, and we'll just do some other comparisons. So this is the Blue Owl, which is a great cardstock, by the way. I just wanted to point out a couple of cards here. So for example, the mice card here, it's quite small. You really have to look at it to see, oh yeah, that's the mice. If you're not automatically going to the numbers and know that number 23 or that the 7 of clubs is the mice. Some of these you would definitely need to get to know. You know, other things by a quick glance, like the clover has 2 red flowers on it. So that you might do a double take with that, assuming that for one of the flower cards. And this is another one that is kind of iffy in this deck. So that is the coffin. We'll bring that up a little closer. Not the easiest coffin card to read. There's the heart card, which has a lot of flowers on it. Yeah, so it is, and this fish card too is kind of, I don't know, not really great artwork on this one here. Okay, so for the blue bird, especially for the court cards, we have these beautiful paintings, you know, with the artwork and then the verse here as well too. The heart is kind of lackluster compared to the painting of the court card. Here we have the child card with the beautiful Jack of Spades there. This cloud card, I guess you can see the dark and the light there. Here we have a castle for the house card, which might be kind of hard for some people to relate to. There was a couple other ones that I found. I didn't find the mountains. It actually is clearer on the camera than it is in real life. The letter is open. The book is closed. Okay, the sun and the moon are really clear. Again, we're looking at the blue bird right now. And I have to say, so we have here the key card, but we also have a heart on the key card. So if you're new to this, you need to really be, unfortunately this deck does have the keyword on it, the title on it, so that does help. I mean, these are all little things that you need to look at when you're choosing your Lenormand deck. And then the Piatnik deck, really nice playing card stock. So the scythe has all of the wheat here. The birds are flying, not chattering. So that might be, this is the stars. The stork is not in flight on this one. Let's see here. For the most part, this deck is really kind of easy to read. So there's 34. That's your fish card, and you've got a bird or a duck up here. So you kind of have to know what you're looking at. Okay, here's another example. So this is not the ship card, right? It's the clouds card. So you do have the light and dark clouds, but you also have a ship in the artwork, which may be confusing. There is the ship card, which is clearly a ship. Okay, so anything else sticking out here? I think not. Here's the sun. I'll just show you the sun and the moon. So definitely not as clear as the bluebird, but if you are aware that neither of these is the cloud card and one is the sun and the moon. Sorry, that's not focusing. But you can see, even out of focus there. There you go. We've got the sun and the moon. So yeah, so very kind of similar looking decks, but subtle differences may make a difference if you are if you're looking for one of those characteristics. So those are the backs of the Piatnik. These are, it's brown with two birds, and those are reversible, but in the Lenormand that doesn't really matter because I don't know anybody that reads reversals in Lenormand. Okay, so blue owl, bluebird, and Piatnik. They all come with tiny little white books. These are the extra. So with the bluebird, you get extra cards for the gentleman and the lady. So an older and a younger gentleman and lady. There's no extra cards with the blue owl or the Piatnik. This is the lovely Anna Kay self-published Lenormand. It comes in this large box. And so it's a two-part box, just like her self-published tarot. And the cards come divided like this, and there's a full-size booklet that comes with it. And then there's a few extra cards, which I've hidden here at the bottom. So there's a kind of a wild card. You have a choice of a white or a orange lily. And then these are the other lady and man cards. So those I have hidden away underneath, and I actually keep this deck in a bag. Here is my Anna Kay Lenormand. I keep it in this little bag because the that huge box doesn't travel very well. Okay, so really very pretty deck. There is a subtle border around the edge. The title for the card is down on the bottom and the number. So bouquet 9, and then it says Queen of Spades here. Very similar color to the card itself. So if you are in a dimly lit room or you don't have your glasses on, you're going to have to memorize that information if you need that information. Each of the cards has that. So there's a colored border, and then the art spills over. This cardstock is different than the Anna Kay self-published tarot. So the Anna Kay self-published tarot is quite cardboardy. It's a lot thicker. This is a really nice playing card stock. And I'll just go through a couple of these because this is actually one of my favorites. And like I said, the only thing that I have a hard time with are those little itty bitty titles down at the bottom because they're the same. They don't stand out at all. And there is not one card in this deck that I find ambiguous. They're all very easy for me to read. So that's the Anna Kay. Yeah, beautiful. I'm so glad I have that one in my collection. The next one I've got here is Ciolo Thompson's Scrying Ink Lenormand. And it comes with this large staple-bound guidebook. So if you refer to your book for Lenormand, there's quite a bit of information in the guidebook. And then it comes in this cloth, cotton muslin pouch. And this is a Lenormand deck that I've used quite a bit. It's got this beautiful kind of wash design on the back. And it has a similar look to the Linestrider Tarot. It's got that watery look, but the cards aren't as white. So you'll see the backgrounds are more gray and blues and things like that. There are no numbers and no playing card associations on this deck. Lily, Bear, and she has changed a couple of the cards. Let me see if I can find them for you. Okay, so we've got the scissors instead of the scythe. And I don't think there's any extra cards in this deck. Looks very much like the Linestrider. There's the man and the woman. These look very much like two of the court cards in the Linestrider Tarot. The clover's really pretty. If there was a card that was ambiguous, the stars, maybe. We've got a hand pointing up toward the stars. And for the letter, we have a bird delivering the letter. But it does say in full letters, L-E-T-T-E-R. There's the bird's card. So that is the Scrying Ink Lenormand by Ciolo Thompson. The Dreaming Way Lenormand, illustrated by Quan Shin, has a slightly different look than the Dreaming Way. It comes in a two-part box, one of those ones that takes a bit to open. It has a different look for sure than the Dreaming Way Tarot. These are the backs. I've done a full walkthrough and comparison of this one with the Tanis. So if you go to my channel and you want to see the whole deck, you'll see it side by side with the Tanis Lenormand. And these ones do have the number, and the playing card association here is on the title on the bottom. So you can see 6 of clubs. For the most part, these are really, it's obvious what they are. There's no second guessing. Some of them have an older kind of feel to them, and then some of them are quite simple. Like for me, that I don't understand why that key was drawn that way. It's just so simple compared to the rest of the cards, right? So, you know, you have a look at the gentleman and the lady and that beautiful artwork. It doesn't really make sense to me. Some of them are a bit out there. There's the ring, right? And then you compare that with the simplicity of the heart. So there's a kind of inconsistency in the design. There's the garden, which is quite unusual. And I will mention the rider, because the rider is on the horse going in a different direction. And the guidebook is written by Lynn Araujo, and she does address this in the guidebook. And I did talk about it, I think, in my other video. So that is the Dreaming Way Lenormand. I believe you can get that on Amazon. And then I have 2 decks, actually 3 of them that came in tins. And so we'll have a look at these 3. Let's start with the Fairy Tale. This is a really pretty deck, a very modern deck. So the artwork is by Lisa Hunt, and the guidebook is by Arwen Lynch. For the most part, I don't refer to the guidebooks. This tin is really beautiful. Just really, really pretty. Okay. So that's the size of the cards in the tin, right? They come out easily. The guidebook I have left in the tin just to fill up space. And those are the extra lady and gentleman cards that I have stored under the guidebook. And you will recognize the fairy tales. So each of these cards comes from a different fairy tale. And if that is distracting to you in reading Lenormand, this won't be a deck for you. If you love your fairy tales and you want to kind of add a dimension to your Lenormand readings, this is really a beautiful deck. So here we have, of course, Sleeping Beauty being awoken by her prince. And that is the Sun card. And I believe the fairy tales are explained in the guidebook, which is really nice. If you're not familiar with the fairy tales, this one does have the title. They are numbered, and the playing card association is on the bar at the bottom. The more I practice with Lenormand, the more I study and read the books, the more I really want to have the playing cards there. I think it is important. I think it really adds a nice dimension to the to any Lenormand reading, especially if you have been asked questions about people and you need to bring in other other people into consideration when you're doing the reading. Yeah, it's mystical, it's magical. And you could use this if you're doing a reading, a tarot reading, and you have a favorite fairy deck, that would look really nice with that. This is the Pixies Astounding Lenormand. So the guidebook is in there just to fill up the space. And I believe there were no extra cards with this deck. I have trimmed this deck and done very small corner rounding. I am very sad. From the front, the trimming job looks amazing and it makes the deck really nice and small in the hands. Still shuffles really well. But unfortunately, in the printing, it was not printed straight. So on the back, you can see the border is not straight. And so I really don't know what to do about that, because I don't want to cut them any smaller on the front, and then that would be inconsistent. So I may reorder this deck and just leave it untrimmed, or maybe another printing, if I wait a few years, will be laid out straighter. And you may or may not recognize some of these bits and pieces, and it might be kind of fun actually to go through one of Pixie's tarot decks and just see where these bits and pieces come from, and see if you could identify what card they came from. Yeah, so you have the playing card association, the name, and the number. Very easy to read. It is in Roman numerals, which you would expect with a deck with her name on it. Nice and clear, nice and easy to read. So that's Pixies Astounding Lenormand. You can buy that one on Amazon. And here's the Clair de Lune. I know this is a favorite of a lot of people. Anna Turian, I just love her decks. There's really something special about her artwork. These are the 2 extra cards that came in. So there is a gentleman and a lady facing forward, and she calls it man and woman. The numbers are up at the top. There are no playing card associations in this deck. And so each of the cards is kind of in silhouette in the moonlight, by the light of the moon. And it's very, very mystical. It's very, very pretty. And it gives a really nice reading. You just have to be careful where you're using it, and I just mean because of lighting. You really want to accentuate the art and not have that be an issue. This is a new coffin card, which Anna replaced. This is the box that the cards come in, and for some reason the coffin card got caught in the lid and the main part of the box, so the coffin was destroyed in the little black coffin. And anyway, Anna replaced that card for me, so that was really nice. I really appreciate it when deck creators are accessible, and it's one of the reasons I buy decks through Etsy. There is a person in that clouds card. I think that is a person. So yeah, really lovely. If you like black and white decks, if you like this kind of mood, that ship, it's just stunning. Claire de Lune by Anna Turian. The other option for the man and woman in this deck are facing, so you have an option of them facing each other, which I really like and really prefer. But if you need to have 2 men or 2 women, then you have an option of having, you know, 2 ladies in your reading. Maybe Lenormand comes in a magnetic box. Guidebook, which I happen to still have here. And then it's one of those two-part boxes. So these are the Lenormand cards. So the first 36 cards are your traditional Lenormand cards, and the backs have this eye on them. And then there are additional cards going all the way up to 52. And I've kept those underneath here, so I'll just show you a few of those. There's 37, the pig. There's 45, the one for illness. And at the back of the guidebook, there are instructions for the Très Grand Tableau, and you would use all 52 cards. And that would be amazing. I mean, that is a lot of cards, plus a whole bunch more cards to learn. I'll just show you a few of the extra cards. But really kind of fun, right? To have, even just to use these as playing cards. It would be great. So you've got your number, you've got your playing card association, but there's no keyword on this deck. And I'll show you a couple of the regular cards. So there's the anchor. These are very simple drawings. There's the bouquet, so the quartz are illustrated as well too. There's the dog. Star. Tree. Some of these you may have to stop and have a good look at. See, for example, there, I think that there's the clouds. So that may be a little tricky. This is a deck you kind of have to get to know. Here's the fish, which you kind of really have to focus on to see. As opposed to the clover, which is easy and, you know, obvious to read. So that is maybe a Lenormand. It's a great little set. I'm really glad I have that in my collection. And next time I go on holiday, I am going to take it with me because it would be fun to do Lenormand readings with friends and family, and then also have a really fun set of playing cards. Unfortunately, the cardstock with this one is a little cardboardy, and I hope that it stands up. It's quite new to me. I haven't used it a lot. Let's go to 1889, the little tiny deck. So this is created by For the Seekers, and I purchased this through Etsy. So it comes with this heavy card little reference cheat sheet here, and you can see it has the playing card associations next to the keywords here for each of those. Because the cards are so little, they're comes in this tiny little tuck box. Look at this, beautiful, fully illustrated on the inside. I don't know, that appeals to me. Okay, I can zoom in here because these are so so tiny. And just really, really lovely illustrations. Very soft. Some of them are not. I mean, that's the sun. There's your bouquet. Coffin. Your snake. Looks a little bit like a clownfish, doesn't it? The clouds card has your dark and light side. Tree. House. Ship. Clover. Child. Very pretty child card. Birds. Moon. Stunning moon card. That's the cross card. The rider's on a bicycle. The scythe does have wheat. This is available in a larger size as well, which I may order. But I wanted the little tiny one. To me, the garden looks a bit like, I don't know, it could be in a cemetery. So it's not a very cheerful garden. A lot of cement. And I'm going to show you why I ordered the mini. And that was through the recommendation of Kelly Fitzgerald, who I'm sure most of you follow. And so I purchased the Under the Roses Lenormand, so that when I was practicing doing grand tableau and I had not memorized the order of the houses, because this deck has the, just going to back out again, because this deck has this lovely space here with the title underneath. If you have a mini deck, you can fit it right on, and then it's easy to reference the card itself and then the house that it's sitting in. So that was the reason, on Kelly's recommendation, that I purchased Under the Roses, which in itself is a really nice deck. There's just a couple cards in Under the Roses. There's the Clover that I don't really like. I don't really like the snake card. I mean, if you're going with the Queen of Clubs association with the other woman, that kind of works. The Whip card is very sexual. That is not a flower card. That's the ring card. I mean, obviously it says ring, but tiny, tiny ring. And instead of the book, we have the journal. So we have the journal and the letter. So that is Under the Roses Lenormand by Kendra Hurto and Katrina Hill, which in itself is a really nice deck, but also complements, is a great background to set up a grand tableau if you have a mini deck. And then we have the Tanis Lenormand, which again, I said I did a full walkthrough of the Tanis Lenormand next to the Dreaming Way Lenormand because they are very similar. I'm going to show you this box if you haven't seen that video. So the Tanis Lenormand comes in a matchbox, and there is a organza bag with the cards in it, and then the book. So the book is the full size of the box. It's a lovely guidebook. And these are the extra cards I'll show you. So that's the guidebook. So we have a darker complexion man and woman. We have a card with the keywords on it. Okay, and then there's the title card, which I didn't put away in my little collection of title cards, which are in another location. These are the backs. The artwork is completely different than Celia Milsville's other decks. So nothing like the Lily White or Lily Black, and nothing like her earlier Oracle deck. So completely unique in that regard. And it does look a little bit like the Dreaming Way Lenormand. There's the lilies. Some very simple cards. There's the Crossroads, which is quite a nice card. You'll notice there are playing card associations, very, very tiny in the bottom corner, and the number of the card, but there's no keyword on the card. There's the star. The lantern is a carefree child. There's the scythe. And the clouds. So the Tanis Lenormand. Sawyer's Lenormand is very colorful, just like the Sawyer's Tarot. And again, same cardstock as the Tarot, super slippery cards. Black border kind of contains the bright drawings. We have the number, the title at the bottom, and no playing card associations. Clover. The lady is a doe and the gentleman is a stag. There is a sheen to these cards, just like her tarot deck. So that gives it kind of a holographic effect on some of the cards. So the fish are really kind of popping out there. I do like the artwork on this one. I have almost memorized the playing card associations, but not quite. So once I do that, I will be using this deck a lot more. Yeah. Jamie Sawyer. That star is really pretty. And then I have the Seeker's Lenormand. So as I mentioned, I bought this in a 3-pack through A.L. Schwartz's Etsy shop. And you'll recognize the backs of those cards. Similar to the Tarot and the Oracle. So you've got this kind of wooden grain. It's not matte, they are glossy. And really nice cardstock. And very creative. Okay, so you've got a crystal cluster here for the tower. And instead of a lady and a gentleman, we have a masculine and feminine symbols. And then we also have the feminine symbol in the mountain, which I'm not really sure about. This doesn't come with a guidebook. And then we have the masculine symbol with the cloud. Birds are kind of weird. They have 2 heads. I do like the mouse hiding inside the skull. And the home is a tortoise shell. We have a little bit of blood dripping there on the scythe. This one might be hard for some people because the rider is associated with swiftness, which of course the snail is not. And the clover is inside a bottle. The tree here, right at the top, looking like a brain. We have crystals down here in the roots. Crossroads is a compass. Yeah, I could show you all these. I'm fascinated with this deck, and I would love to spend some time to study it more. I acquired 3 or 4 of these decks at the same time, so I haven't given them all the due care that that they need. Rana George's Lenormand. I didn't have a reading. I watched a reading at a shop in Bellingham, Washington, at a store in the older part in downtown Bellingham, and I really liked the cards. So this again, right, magnetic opening, one of those 2-part boxes. The guidebook fits in here, and the guidebook that comes with it is really substantial. She also has a much larger book, which I do own, to illustrate, talk about the tradition of Lenormand, and she has a really what's the word? Extensive background in Lenormand. Her family has been reading for years and years. So 2-part box again. You can see very shiny cards, lots of gold. And then underneath here, I should have the extra. Nope, they're not there. I wonder where I put them. She's got some really interesting extra cards in this deck. So this one is glued in, so you can't hide the extra cards underneath. This is one of the more modern decks that has the playing card associations, the numbers, but no title. There's the coffin. And these look really beautiful laid out. You can imagine with all these borders and everything's lined up. It's just, it's so pretty. There's the stars. And there's one of the gentleman cards. I think there's alternate gentleman and lady cards. There's the lady. The child here doesn't really look, other than the child is playing a game, does not look very youthful to me. So here is, there's one of the extra cards. And then there's another extra card. And there's the extra lady and the extra gentleman. And of course, she has descriptions of the extra cards in her guidebook. Here's the mouse card, the mice card. So lots going on in the card, and then the mice are kind of hidden among the food. And I just have to show you this hard card because I really like that jewelry box. And I quite like the way she's drawn the quartz as well too. They're very pretty, the way she's illustrated the quartz. Really fit in with the theme of the deck. And then the final deck that I'm going to show you today is the Celtic Lenormand by Chloe McCracken. And this is definitely a Lenormand deck to have in your collection. Unfortunately, this is one of those 2-part boxes that sometimes takes a few shakes to get open. And when I travel with this, I usually do not have it. I just usually have the cards in a little tiny bag. Here is the guidebook that so many people have talked about that is really full. It's just a wealth of information, really well written. Not only keywords and descriptions, but she has different layers of meaning, spiritual meanings. Looking at positive, dark, and light aspects of the card. She has associated deities, and there's also a description of spell use for each of the cards as well too. So you could take this deck to a whole other level. All right, and then I'll just show you, hidden under here, I have the extra cards, and there are quite a few extra cards in this deck. There is a rider, so going in a different direction. I believe there's a male and a female rider. There's an option for the tree. There's 2 child cards. There's an additional, instead of the dog, you can have a cat card. And there are a couple of bird cards. So there's the hen card. And there's another option for the birds. So I think there's 3 options for the birds. There's 2 options for the snakes. And then there's 2 options for the lady and the man. So lots of extra cards with this deck. You really get your money's worth with this deck. And it is a mass market deck. All right, so let's look at some of the cards. There's the other snake. So this snake has the shedding skin. There's the coffin. And the bouquet is wild flowers. So this is the Celtic Lenormand. So you've got that, you know, that Druid Celtic kind of feel. There are a few changes. The owl, sorry, the bird card that I kept was the owl one. I really like that. And there's the other child. A few of them could be ambiguous. Here we have a ship, and this is the stars card. Not the moon card, not the ship card, but the stars card. So you kind of need to know what you have to have, you know, worked with the deck and be familiar with it if you're reading Lenormand really quickly. In this card, we have a tower, we have a grave, and we have the storks. So again, lots of stuff going on in the cards. We have the kind of the fortress here for the tower. There's no titles on the cards, but you do have playing card associations and numbers. And the mountain is on the edge of the water, which I know several people have commented on. And the heart card is 2 tiny shells, right? So here on the front of the card. But overall, I really, really love this deck. And this one is going in my bag for the next month or so. There's the sun and the moon. I'm going to be doing more work with the Druid plant and the Druid craft, and so this deck has to be in my bag. And instead of the ring, we have the handfesting, which is lovely. And here's the other tree. So we have like the Oak King and the Holly King options for the tree. Yeah, really, really beautiful Lenormand deck. So there you have it, folks. That is my Lenormand collection as of February 2019. I hope you enjoyed this look through my decks. Stay well. Namaste.